You know, for the first time in over 50 years, we are seriously on the verge of going back to the moon. And the Artemis program isn't just about leaving footprints and flags again. This is about staying. But hey, if you're going to walk on the moon, you need a spacesuit. And this time around, it's getting a serious high-fashion upgrade. So let's get into it.
Okay, take a look at this. This is the Axiom Extravehicular Mobility Unit, or AxEMU for short. Now, this isn't just some NASA in a lab creation. In a move I don't think anyone saw coming, Axiom Space, the company building it, actually teamed up with the Italian luxury fashion house Prada. Yeah, that Prada. They're tapping into their know-how with materials and design. It's this incredible mix of cutting-edge space tech and high-fashion craftsmanship. But this suit is so much more than just a cool new look. I mean, it represents a massive, massive leap forward in what astronauts can actually do, designed to fix all the things that held back the Apollo-era astronauts.
Honestly, this new AxEMU suit is a total game changer. It's way more flexible, so astronauts can actually walk and bend and pick up tools without fighting the suit itself. And this is a huge deal. It's designed to fit way more body types, from the 1st to the 99th percentile of astronauts. That makes space exploration way more accessible for everyone. It can handle the insane cold of the lunar South Pole, and, get this, it can support spacewalks for a full 8-hour shift. This isn't just an update, it's a whole new way for humans to work on the moon.
And this is the mission it's all for, Artemis III. Right now, it's slated for 2027, and this is the one. This is where astronauts wearing these very suits will step out onto the lunar surface, marking our return after more than half a century. Incredible.
But of course, you don't just jump straight to a moon landing. It's a step-by-step process. So Artemis I back in 2022 was the big successful test flight with no one on board. Next up in 2026 is Artemis II. That's the first time astronauts are actually going to fly this thing. And all of that is building towards the main event, the Artemis III landing in 2027.
So before we can land, we have to fly. The very next mission on the docket is Artemis II, which is a crewed flyby of the moon. And for the first time in a generation, we actually know the names and faces of the people who are going to make that incredible journey. And this crew, wow, this is history in the making. You've got Commander Reid Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialist Christina Koch from NASA, and they're joined by Jeremy Hansen from the Canadian Space Agency. Their 10-day mission is going to swing them all the way around the far side of the moon. And this crew really represents a new era. They'll be carrying the first woman, the first person of color, and the first non-American ever to travel to deep space around the moon.
So the dream is inspiring. The hardware is just unbelievable. But a recent government report brings us crashing right back down to Earth. The U.S. Government Accountability Office, the GAO, has flagged some really serious concerns. And it's not about the rockets or the spacecraft. It's about the stuff on the ground needed to even get them to launch.
We're talking about something called the Exploration Ground Systems, or EGS. It might not sound glamorous, but it's this huge, complex program that's responsible for basically everything at Kennedy Space Center, from preparing the rocket to launching it to recovering the crew.
I mean, the job EGS has is just massive. They're the ones who stack the giant SLS rocket and Orion spacecraft inside the vehicle assembly building. They're the ones who manage the actual launch from the famous Pad 39B. And then, at the end of it all, they're the ones who go out and recover the crew from the ocean. It's the essential nuts and bolts work that makes the entire Artemis program even possible.
And right at the heart of the GAO's warning is this: the mobile launchers. Okay, so Mobile Launcher 1, ML1, is handling the first 3 Artemis missions, but it took a beating during the Artemis 1 launch and needs a lot of work. But for the bigger, beefier SLS Block 1B rocket that's needed for Artemis 4 and beyond, you need a whole new tower, Mobile Launcher 2. And well, that project is in deep trouble.
This slide just lays out the conflict perfectly. On the left, you see the slow, gritty reality of bending steel and pouring concrete for ML2. And on the right, you see the relentless, unforgiving mission schedule. There is almost zero room for error, and the gap between those two pictures, that's where the entire Artemis program is at risk.
The cost really tells the story here. The contract for Mobile Launcher 2 has almost tripled. It's ballooned from around $383 million to over $1.1 billion in just 5 years. That's not just a budget overrun. That is a massive red flag screaming that there are serious problems with this project. And the GAO, they don't mince words. They say straight up that the schedule has limited margin and significant risk.
The problem is that everything has to happen in order. One step has to be finished before the next can begin, so a delay in one spot creates this huge domino effect that pushes everything back.
So, it all comes down to a race against the clock. After Artemis III launches, this tiny window of time opens up, and a crazy amount of work has to get done before Artemis IV can even think about flying.
Just look at this timeline. Artemis III is supposed to launch in September 2026, okay? But the contractor's own delivery date for the delayed Mobile Launcher 2 isn't until November of that year. Do you see the problem? The tower for the next launch arrives after the previous mission has already flown. That leaves this incredibly tight 22-month window for NASA to test, reconfigure, and integrate everything for the next mission. It is a monumental task in an almost impossible time frame.
So the big question is this, right? NASA is designing the future of space exploration with these amazing spacecraft and futuristic spacesuits, but can it solve the much more grounded, much more complicated problem of just building the foundation it needs to leave Earth in the first place? The entire dream of returning to the moon really does hang in the balance.